everyone, welcome. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup. And today we have another episode of Makeup Mondays. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. And Makeup Mondays is a series that I do, not every Monday, but most Mondays, where I go over topics specifically requested by you, the viewer. And today we are talking about cleansing balms. So if you have any requests for a future video or topic, please be sure to leave that down below in the comments or DM me on Instagram. I'm at Alexis Jong. Now, cleansing balms, why should you use one? Let's start there. So first of all, cleansing balms are a rich and emollient cleanser that is meant to be used to remove makeup and oils, be able to break down sunscreen and things like that in a very gentle manner. So they are intended to be used on dry skin. Ideally, what you would do is you take a little bit of your balm, and depending on the actual balm, determines how much. I've noticed with some cleansing balms, I have to use more than with others, but you put it on your dry face with makeup on. You can use it. They are safe for the eyes. That is one of the big pros about using a cleansing balm. So I always start with my eyes and rub it in and kind of rub it all over my face. And depending on the cleansing balm, some of them need kind of water to help emulsify the product right away. So then I get my hands wet, rub that in. I take a warm, wet washcloth, put that on my face, let it sit for a minute, sometimes just a few seconds, and then I wipe everything off. I personally always rinse and thoroughly. I'm a huge proponent of rinsing everything a lot. So then ideally you would follow up with a second cleanser. And I have to say, honestly, sometimes I do that. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I use the cleansing balm as a second cleanser instead. So I do always double cleanse, like probably 99% of the time. Once in a while, if I'm not really wearing much on my skin that day, I didn't really put on makeup or a lot of sunscreen, then I only do a single cleanse with a cleansing balm. But most of the time, I do a double cleanse, and I will start off with a cleansing balm, rinse my face, and then I take a separate, lighter, maybe a milk cleanser or something like that, and I'll wash my face again. Sometimes though, depending on what kind of makeup I have on, if I have heavy eye makeup and so forth on, I usually take some of the Bioderma Sensibio micellar water, and I put that on one of my bamboo rounds. I use the reusable ones. So I'll saturate that and I'll start removing makeup with that, let my face dry, then I put on the cleansing balm and I wash it that way and do an additional cleanse. So ideally though, cleansing balm is going to be used for makeup removal as well as your first cleanse in a double cleanse. Now, the idea behind a double cleanse is to use something that is an oil-based product first, because oil dissolves oil. So essentially what you're looking at, we all know that oil and water repel each other, and a lot of your makeup and sunscreen products have oil in them. And so you want to kind of dissolve that oil first using an oil-based cleanser. And then you want to fully rinse things away with a water-based cleanser. Now, we have these molecules that are called amphipathic or amphiphilic molecules, which is basically where one end of it is attracted to oil and one end is attracted to water. And you're going to find those they're honestly in both oil-based and water-based cleansers, but in the water-based cleanser, you are removing any residual oil still with that, and you're then thoroughly rinsing with water to remove any residue. So I have recently been trying out a few different luxury cleansing balms. The three main ones that I have tried are the Augustinus Bader, which I'm currently using, the Retrouve Luminous Cleansing Elixir, which I'm also currently using, and the Chantecaille Rose de Mai Cleansing Balm, which I have already finished up. So I have those, plus I have two less expensive options that I have used in the past that we're going to talk about today as well. Now let's start with the Augustinus Bader. The Augustinus Bader is $70 for 90 grams or 3.1 ounces. And that breaks down to about 78 cents per milliliter. Now the texture, you can see I started using this a month ago. It's been about 5 weeks now. I keep my dates on the back. So I started this on January 14th And I have to say it's a large jar, so I've been fairly liberal with how much I use for this. Now, texturally, you can see that it's kind of like a whipped ointment. So it's not like an occlusive feeling ointment, but it has kind of that similar type of texture, kind of like whipped. So if you were to take, if you've ever used the Egyptian Magic Cream, you know, that's an ointment style product as well. If you were to take that and then mix that with a beater, that's kind of the texture you would get with this cleansing balm. There are definitely a lot of oils in here. It works really well at removing all of my makeup. It works well at removing my Surratt Noir lash tint, which requires an oil-based cleanser. So no problems with this. It works really well. It has a thinner consistency when you rub it out. Next, we have the Chantecaille Rose de Mai Cleansing Balm, and you can see I used it all the way up. I've talked about this in a few videos already. It actually goes to about here, the inner container here. And this retails for, sorry, I'm just checking my notes here, but this retails for $90 for 75 milliliters. So it comes out to be $1.20 per milliliter. And this lasted me exactly 3 months to the day. So there's this one. Now the consistency of this, although you can't see it, it was kind of like a really pale rose color. And it felt more like a moisturizer going on, not as thick as like a heavy cream, but kind of in between like a cream and lotion texture. It worked really well at removing everything. And I have to say with these, either this or the Augustinus Bader, I did not have any like residue or anything left on my face. It didn't feel filmy afterwards. So this performed really, really well. Then we also have the Retrouve Cleansing Elixir. And I think this is probably my third jar of this so far. So I just started this one last week. And this comes in a pump. And again, when you see the package like this, it's a little bit deceiving, which is why they do make sure to show you what this looks like. I think they have like a photo on their website where they have the cap sitting next to it, so you can kind of see, you know, the size. But this is $75 for 50 milliliters. So it comes out to be $1.50 per milliliter. Now I have to say, this actually has fewer milliliters than the Chantecaille, but this lasts me about 2 weeks longer than the Chantecaille one does. And I think the biggest reason for that is this is a pump. And just show you what this looks like here. So this pump, you know, I use one pump at a time. So you're having a controlled amount dispensed. And this product, it's different. I mean, you can see that sheen on here, but when you spread this out, because you're using such a small amount, you know, you have enough to kind of spread all over your face and like start to emulsify. You can add water to emulsify it some more. But I don't know, there's something about this. It just really grips everything and takes it off. And I don't feel like I need additional product to take it off. So in that sense, you know, for some reason, this lasts me a little bit longer. And I feel like with these small amounts, I can get off just as much as I can with a little bit more of the Chantecaille or the Augustinus Bader. Moving on, I have been trying a sample of the Good Molecules. I got this as one of my, you know, the little free with purchase type item that Beautylish sends. So I got this. This is $15 for 75 milliliters. So this works out to be only 20 cents per milliliter. It's definitely the most inexpensive one that I have here. And you can see the texture of this one. It's one of those ones, if you've ever used the Farmacy Green Clean, which I have used. I've used that a couple times. And this has like a very similar texture. You can see how it's kind of like a chunky, kind of like coconut oil, you know? That's what it reminds me of actually. And then when it warms up on your skin, it turns into a thin oil. So that's actually exactly what it feels like, is coconut oil to me. And yeah, there probably is coconut oil in there. I feel like I can smell some of it. Now, I have to say that this does remove everything very well. No issues with removal. But I personally am not a huge fan of the texture because it gets kind of that thin, oily feeling to it. It does rinse off cleanly, so I have no issues rinsing it off. It's a great budget option. I've also used the Farmacy Green Clean, And that's $34 for 100 milliliters, and that works out to be 34 cents per milliliter. And again, it has a very similar texture. It's green, but I don't like that one because that one does leave my face feeling a bit filmy after I take that off. Now, one thing I did want to note about both the Good Molecules and the Farmacy Green Clean, if I use them as the final cleanse and then I dry my face, they do leave my face feeling a little bit dry, whereas actually the Augustinus Bader leaves my face feeling a tad dry if I use that as my only one also. The Chantecaille and the Retrouve, however, do not. My face does not feel like tight at all if I use them as the final cleanse. And finally, I also wanted to mention a cult favorite product, the Clinique Take the Day Off Cleansing Balm. And this is a great product. It works really well. I just unfortunately have an allergy to something in Clinique products, so it's not one that I use. But I personally love Clinique. I used them for years. I just did something stupid and ended up misusing a product from the Noxzema line, which, you know, they have the same parent company. And whatever it is that I did, I'm now sensitive to specific items from Clinique, and so I just kind of stay away from the brand as a whole right now. But it's $31 for 125 milliliters, works out to be 25 cents per milliliter, which makes it less expensive than the Farmacy Green Clean, slightly more than the Good Molecules, but definitely a great value. And I have to say that my friend uses this to remove her makeup and she swears by it. She's been using it for years. It's a really wonderful product. So I did want to include that here because I think it's a really great option for many people. Now, let's move on to my ranking and personal thoughts about all of these cleansing balms. Now, I have to say my very favorite is the Retrouve Cleansing Elixir. And this actually worked out to be the most expensive per milliliter. However, I have to say that, you know, I don't need a lot of this product. It's really concentrated. So a little bit of this goes a long way. So even though it's more expensive per milliliter, I am still getting more use out of it than I am out of the Chantecaille Cleansing Balm. I haven't used up the Augustinus Bader yet. By the way, when you purchase this, the Augustinus Bader comes with a muslin cleansing cloth to use with it as well. But you can see how much I used. The product was filled basically to the rim up here, okay? And you can see how much I've used in 5 weeks. So I feel like even though this is a larger jar, I use a little bit more at a time to thoroughly get everything off. So, you know, that's just something. I don't know how long this jar will last if I had to estimate it. You can see here that the inner part of the jar, can you see the translucency of here? But it goes to right about where my nail is. So I should have product all the way through here. And based on that, I would say that this is going to last, let's see here. So if that's been 1 month, this should last somewhere around 5 months would be my guess. So we'll see. I will definitely give you guys an update when I finish it off. But I use a little bit more of this than I do of the Retrouve. And honestly, just because sometimes it's just, you know, nice to use a lot of cleanser. Sometimes I use a little extra, but it's not necessary. I would say I need to use about the same amount as the Chantecaille to fully get everything off comfortably. So as I mentioned, Retrouve is number 1. And then number 2, performance-wise, would be the Chantecaille Rose de Mai Cleansing Balm. But I feel like the Augustinus Bader is pretty close in how it performs, and it's a better deal. So again, this works out to be 78 cents per milliliter versus $1.20. So I think I would repurchase the Augustinus Bader Cleansing Balm over the Chantecaille. Now, when Chantecaille does their 30% off sales, that does make that a bargain, and this would be a contender then. But for full price, I would probably go for the Augustinus Bader. And then I would put the Good Molecules in as something good to have on hand, you know, in like a small size for like traveling and so forth. But it's probably not one that I'm going to purchase to use regularly, just because I have gotten to the point where cleansing my skin at the end of the day is, you know, it's like a relaxing ritual, and I kind of want to enjoy everything that I'm using and putting on and take a little time for myself. And I just don't get that feeling with this. So it works very well and I like it, but I'm just really drawn to the more luxurious feelings and textures that I get with the others. Now I have to say the Retrouve Cleansing Balm, you know, it's got more drag or resistance when you're putting it on. It really feels like it cleans my face the best without any tightness afterwards. So that's, I don't know, every time I use this, it's just, it feels so nice. So sometimes I'll use this in the morning as well, not for removing makeup or anything, but just because I really enjoy the experience of using this. So that sums up my rankings for the cleansing balms. And I do have a few others that I'd like to try out in the future. I know some of you have recommended some to me, such as the Emma Hardy Cleansing Balm. And if you have any others I should add to my list, please be sure to leave them down below in the comments so I can add them to it and hopefully incorporate one of those into my routine after I finish up probably the Augustinus Bader, because I did buy several backups of the cleansing elixir. So this isn't going anywhere anytime soon. But thank you so much for tuning in. I'd love to know if you use a cleansing balm and what your thoughts are on them in general, and do you do a double cleanse? So please be sure to let me know down below in the comments if you have any additional topics or requests for Makeup Mondays. Again, let me know down below or DM me on Instagram. I'm at Alexis Jong. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day and stay safe and healthy.